The massive elephant in the room for talking about Snake Eyes' G.I. Joe origins is the somewhat controversial casting of Henry Golding, an actor of an Asian background, as the titular character, a person who's traditionally white. I'm not hugely familiar with the G.I. Joe franchise as a whole, but I'm often against the idea of race or gender swapping characters. It rarely adds anything to the character in question and is only ever done to tick boxes and by extension make money rather than to serve some political cause. From what I know of the character of Snake Eyes, his race isn't really key as he's usually completely masked up. However, him being white does make him an outsider in the world he comes from, and this adds to his feelings of isolation and could make for a compelling protagonist. The novel Shogun has a very similar premise, which is used to great effect. I have no extremely positive or negative views of Henry Golding as an actor, so I mean nothing against him when I say he was probably wrong for the part. Aside from casting an Asian actor as a martial arts expert not being the most politically correct decision to make, he doesn't really have the face of someone who's dedicated their life to hunting down their father's murderer. He still feels like the lead of a romantic comedy to me. What's also apparent about his performance is that his American accent is constantly disappearing, and you can often hear him slipping into his native British one. Additionally, Snake Eyes as a character could maybe have done with those aforementioned isolated feelings because he's an absolutely bog-standard revenge movie protagonist with nothing particularly compelling to comment on. He does have some interesting moments where he sides with the villains, but these are predictably short-lived. The rest of the characters in the film are equally flat and not really worth talking about. Where the film gets most interesting is when it's concerning the world of G.I. Joes and Cobra. Scarlet and the Baroness are introduced halfway through the film and give it a much-needed spark of life with some pretty cool action scenes, while also introducing the audience to a more intriguing world of espionage and conflict. With that being said though, if you took these characters out of the film, the story wouldn't really change, which makes it feel like the writers were forced by producers to add other elements from the Hasbro franchise. A fair amount of the other fight sequences involving the likes of Snake Eyes and the supporting cast are marginally entertaining, though there's a lot of use of shaky cam, close-ups and slow motion, presumably to hide some of the shoddier moments of choreography. The story is the film's weakest element. It's a completely predictable fare of revenge, double-crossing and honour. There are a lot of points where characters make pretty ridiculous decisions, and some others where weird sci-fi elements are introduced out of nowhere. A notable point at which the script becomes completely ridiculous is when Snake Eyes is being tested by the clan he's trying to join. He has to partake in 3 trials, all of which are supposedly completely deadly, but the first 2 trials involve our hero running up a hill with very few obstacles and trying to get a cup of water out of Iko Awayas' hand. The 3rd trial is at least seemingly deadly, but still is equally as dumbfounding. Snake Eyes' G.I. Joe Origins is certainly not the kind of film that will set the world on fire and is painfully average. It's clear that the supposed G.I. Joe Origins franchise will go much the same way as the X-Men one. At least the Wolverine spin-off had some great films to work off of. The race swapping of Snake Eyes was a transparent move to gain interest in a long-dead franchise, but the film doesn't attempt to at least try and be decent to earn praise from the little attention it's gathered. Snake Eyes' G.I. Joe Origins gets a Deight score of 5. Happy dating, you loners.